This presentation is on the hypothetical spikes developmental network in the spiny beetle as it pertains to prompt 4-2C. In this problem, we are given the developmental pathway shown on screen now. In this network, S activates P and P in turn activates I. I inhibits K, which is an inhibitor of E. If all goes right, E then transcribes for spikes to be produced in the ectoderm of the spiny beetle on screen. To better understand this developmental network, we can compare the processes at play to the characters in the show The Office. If you've ever seen this show, you'll know that David Wallace, who is our S gene, works in corporate and therefore stimulates Michael Scott, our P gene, to do his job. Michael Scott, in turn, is the manager of Dunder Mifflin Scranton and is the one who makes sure Pam Beasley, our I gene, does her job. Pam is Jim's wife and sometimes tells Jim, our K gene, to stop distracting Dwight, the E gene. Other times not so much, but for this example, let's assume she wants Jim to leave Dwight alone. If Jim isn't stopped, however, he pranks Dwight and distracts him from doing his job. When Dwight isn't distracted, however, he is able to declare himself assistant to the regional manager, which equates to spikes successfully being transcribed in the spiny beetle of our hypothetical network. Now that we better understand the developmental network we have, we can take a look at what happens when things in this process go wrong. If the P gene were not serving its purpose correctly, nothing would activate I to stop K from inhibiting E. In this mutation, no spikes can be produced. Similarly, if the I gene is not functioning, nothing is stopping K from again inhibiting E. Again, no spikes can be produced. If I and E aren't working properly, there's nothing to inhibit K, but it doesn't even matter because the E gene isn't functional in the first place. For a third time, no spikes are produced. In our fourth scenario, S and K are non-functional. Without S, P and I cannot be activated, and therefore nothing is inhibiting K. Thankfully for the spiny beetle, however, K is already non-functional, and therefore E is unimpeded. This scenario actually does allow for spikes to be created. So if all goes correctly, why don't all the cells in the ectoderm of the spiny beetle have spikes? One reason could be that the spiny beetle only needs spikes in vulnerable areas. The underside of the beetle, for example, doesn't need spikes because it isn't typically exposed and therefore doesn't require protection. Another reason could be that the spiny beetle only needs a certain amount of spikes for maximum protection. If the spiny beetle on screen has 30 spikes and is well protected, why would it waste additional energy and resources on more spikes that aren't needed for protection?